Take 73. This is Heroes of Humility. Thanks for being here, Pierce. And I'll be joined by my buddy Red pretty soon. We'll pick up where we left off last week for the exciting conclusion, aka part 2. Alumni Red and myself will discuss our pals without them being here to defend themselves. What are we going to talk about? Tomfoolery, disgustingness, sometimes the type of stuff that your buddies do, and also things that people you don't know do. Meanwhile, you're just trying to protect yourself from becoming a victim of disgusting toxins in the world. If you listen to last week's, this week will make a lot more sense. So what I recommend is going back, even listening to the other one, and then listening to this one. And by the end of the 2 episodes, you'll feel like you really accomplished nothing, and you'll have a lot more questions and answers. So initiate exciting, super fantastic Heroes of Humility theme, and let's get this started.
Heroes of
Humility, humility, humility. This is real. These words you are about to hear are coming from real humans on a mission to save the human race from itself. Buckle up while these delusional heroes of humility, aka hoes, attempt to right the wrongs in everyday human behavior. And we're back with big, giant bro Red. When I say giant, we have another friend who's a giant. He was supposed to be with us this morning. And now is the segment of our show where we make fun, which is a euphemism for what we're really going to do. We make fun of the people that didn't show up for the show. I lovingly refer to him as Cool Hand. He doesn't like that nickname name. He doesn't think that you should be given nicknames when it pertains to him. That's what I call him.
What do we do? I mean, did he pick that name, or did you? I mean, let's just say Cool Hand, if you want to call him that. He is a fan of the movie Tombstone. But there's plenty of characters in there. We could call him Doc. We could call him Holiday. We could call him Wyatt. Or there's plenty of names. But
Cool
I'm trying to think of the name Cool Hand. I mean, I guess it does have a little flair to it. But what character was that? Even a name within Tombstone?
We had a work-related mission that we were all on. We had another buddy who thought it was funny to give me a stupid cowboy call sign. And I want to say it was like 10 gallon because they said that I was going to wear a giant hat. I don't remember what the problem was.
It probably was a giant hat. It was, wasn't it?
It was what?
It was, wasn't it? A giant hat. Probably like a big sun hat where you were supposed to be all, maybe look a certain way, have some bravado, and you probably had a large, one of those sun hats that you see on the beach that the little old lady wears. I could see that.
Well, that'll be edited out. But no, do you know those, what are they called? You know those beanie hats that have like a brim that goes all the way around and keeps the sun off your coconut protected skin?
No, I do not know of a beanie that has a brim all the way around it. I've seen the ones that have like a little small hat in the front, and maybe if you're really cool, you put it to the side. But I would say one all the way around, a beanie with a brim all the way around it. No, that's very unique. I can see.
I don't know if that's the correct name for it, but it's got a brim that goes all the way around.
Is this a boonie hat? A boonie hat.
Boonie hat.
Okay. Yes. All right. I was trying to picture you with a beanie with a brim all around it.
Wow. Yeah. Well, there's a lot of editing that needs to take place to this show. Yeah, it was a boonie hat, and I think that was what it was about. I'm not sure. But anyway, look, shame on me for protecting my head, okay, and my skin. That's right there where you become a target of ridicule, is by people who are jealous of your wisdom, okay? Jealous
Did you have the perfect white amount of sunscreen strip on your nose like they did on the episode of Saved by the Bell when they were lifeguards for the episode?
I don't remember that part, but
Something
And I
tells me you
also
did.
wouldn't
Something
admit
tells
to
me you
watching
did.
Saved by the Bell. I never saw that show. Um,
Oh my gosh.
Actually, I know that's one of Mr. Beige's favorite shows of all time. So
A
shout out to Mr. Beige.
fantastic show.
No, but the idea was that you were being given call signs that you didn't want, and
The
I
best
fired
ones are not
back.
earned, are
Yeah,
earned, not given.
exactly. And I fired back, and I gave this dum dum a pretty good call sign, and then Cool Hands accidentally fell in the line of fire. And I gave him a call sign, and I just kind of doled out what I thought was a cowboy sounding name. So I called him Cool Hand. And I thought that was kind of a cool name. Honestly, I can't remember the actor's name to see if I have my phone. But Cool Hand Luke is a movie about a very tenacious, strong willed guy. And I think it fit our friend Cool Hand. He's even keel. He's not bombastic or showboaty or he's just a good guy. So I thought, hey, I wish I was cool enough to get the nickname Cool Hand. So what's the problem, dude? But this guy, he's very sensitive. Okay, for being a
Now,
guy who's nearly 7 foot, he's a very sensitive guy.
I mean, well, you know what? Just because we're large does not mean we're emotional and soft-hearted, and and I would say Cool Hand takes. He kind of wears it on his sleeve. Like he
Yeah.
takes very emotional. Like, why did you call me Cool Hand? Are you trying to give me an endearing name, or
Right. He thinks,
is it a cut down on me? I
yeah,
really got to think about this. And usually when it's a group of guys, it's usually the latter of like, how are they trying to insult me?
right.
And so, I mean, and honestly, I'm still trying to wonder: is it? And I'm not being a smartass. Is it Cool Hand, like a cool and a hand, or is it cool like CULHAN, like it's like
Yeah,
a
it's
name?
COOL, hand. And so one of my other buddies kind of chimed in and said, you know what? No, he's more of a clammy hand. He's clammy hand. So see, it gets worse, and I was the guy starting from a cool nickname and then and you're right, Cool Hand kind of takes things sometimes and thinks about the worst case scenario and thinks you're coming at him maybe that way. But the truth is he's a giant, he's a sensitive giant, and he actually deserves the name Cool somewhere in his nickname. So I'll just say that. I wish he was here today. He couldn't make it. He came up with an excuse at the last minute. We graciously made it seem like we believed him and that it was for reals. But we all know that Cool Hand was coming up with a cool excuse. So, but no more. I hope he has a good day. We miss you, Cool Hand. We miss you, Mr. Beige. Mr. Beige, Cool Hand, Mr. Red, aka Red. These are the guys that I used to see on a more regular basis. And now life has just thrown its evil monkey wrench into everything. And now I've got to devise a podcast so we can simply have a good hang, a good bro session.
Oh yeah, of course. I guess I could share maybe a little story. Since we've kind of, we kind of work in the same line of work, but we have kind of moved offices and moved locations, and still the same type of work, but we're just not working at the same location, so we don't have lunch together in this big huge group. So we've been subdivided, and because of the pandemic, some people have still kind of like partial come into work a few days a week. So we don't have the get-togethers like we used to on a daily basis. One of the things that I usually do go to lunch with Cool Hand. There was a time, I don't know if you've been privy to this, Pierce, but we went to a restaurant where you walk up and you can kind of select your entree and then the toppings that go on. So, there's a big conga line of people, and you walk through, and there's plenty of people coming and going and take out orders. So, this is a busy place. And when you come in, you have people walking past your tables. So, Cool Hand and I, we went through a line, selected our entrees, we got our drinks, we find a table, we're sitting down. And we're semi close to between the front door and the line of people that get ready. So there's constant people walking right by our table. So of course, Cool Hand and I were talking, of course, very rigorously about a work topic. All of a sudden, a lady walks up. This lady was significantly older than us, and she walked up and just started talking to Cool Hand. And at first we were like, thought she was, one of these people that you walk into a restaurant and they're talking and you can't see the Bluetooth headphone that they're wearing in their ear. So you're like, oh, she must be talking to a friend on the phone. Cool Hand and I were in our conversation, and this lady said something, and at first we didn't even recognize it. We just thought it was somebody walking by. It was just either talking on the phone or talking to somebody else. And so she says it again, and she goes, "Excuse me." So then both of us actually turned and looked because she was trying to get our attention. And she at first was asking how good the food was because apparently she had never eaten there, or at least that's the trick that she was trying to imply. And I will first say off, Cool Hand is in a very exclusive relationship. He's very happily married for many years, so he does not have a wandering eye. So this lady was asking how the food was, and so he was just giving, oh, hey, it's good. Of course, obviously we're eating here, so it's good. And the next thing she says, and she just gazes into his eyes and says, "Wow, you have the most beautiful eyes." And of course, like as you can tell, Pierce is already laughing, and of course I am not as nice, so I just start busting up laughing at this. Like, I've never noticed your eyes are so beautiful. So I was trying to antagonize the situation because I just know that made him so embarrassing. Mm-hmm. And so the lady was just asking, what's his favorite dishes, and and then she finally wraps it up by asking if he was single. And of course, I was just like, oh, you know what? I can get up and leave the table if you guys want to talk. If he needs a private conversation with this lady, he's welcome to it. And of course, that just emboldened his redness in his face. Mm-hmm.
Oh, and man, I wish I had been there.
And he just replied, I'm happily married, but the food is good here. By all means, just you can go ahead and order. And thank you, thank you for the compliment. He was just, and then of course he was just thoroughly embarrassed, and I was red with laughter, and I couldn't help but just rub it in the rest of the day. Kind of maybe that helps the audience kind of see the character of Cool Hand, that he is a very modest and more like Pierce was saying, an introvert type of guy. Mm-hmm. And of course, even to this day, I still remind him that, hey, please, maybe when we go order and we go into a restaurant, that he might need to wear his sunglasses. So that way, if there happens to be a female, or, hey, he's probably an open opportunist, maybe another male looked at his eyes and they get hypnotized.
Yeah.
And I said,
anybody's susceptible to that.
Yeah, of course. And I was like, hey, let me at least go first, because that way my order will be correct, and yours will, then you'll have more time to talk to these people that fall into your gaze of these dark blue eyes. And you weren't there, and I'm sure you would have given him the benefit of the doubt of encouraging the conversation. But he is definitely a very modest person.
Yeah, he's a good guy. He's easy to be friends with. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, somebody just poked their hand into the room where Red is, and they handed him a beverage of some kind. I just want to make sure people don't miss out on. But
yes, that's the kind of support I have.
Yeah, you got some good support over there in the Red household.
If I know what we're talking about here. Pierce can see it. Again, I know I'm a person that it's as big as my head. And I'm sure for the audience who can't see it, I will say my head's probably not the smallest of it.
You know what? Drink. I don't want to be crude or crass, but your bladder must be.
You will.
But having said that, your bladder must be the size of a basketball, because I've been seeing you drinking since you got into that room, and now you're drinking a big gulp. And
we have to stay hydrated.
Yeah, that's true. You're good. You're well hydrated, man. I love that story about Cool Hand because I could picture it. And those are the kind of things I miss, man. It was just a good time. I remember one time we were having lunch. We were asked to sign something because they wanted to put us in a reality show. There was somebody doing some filming nearby.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, and you didn't want to be. You said, I will not be signing anything. But the rest of us dummies, we signed it. And so I was told by Cool Hand that he saw it on TV, but they had to kind of blur us because you didn't want to sign your document saying that you would be on TV. So that was kind of funny. But that
Yeah,
gives the audience a little bit of an idea of what Red is like. He's not a showboat. He doesn't need to be in the limelight. It's actually taken him forever just to get him on the podcast. He knows deep down that when he is exposed to the public, he's going to blow up and it's going to be more than he can handle. And he just doesn't want that. He wants to live a meek life in obscurity, showing his son, the ways of the Force. And he just doesn't want to be bothered with the limelight.
Oh, I guess for me, maybe if I can explain myself a little, I would say that, if I'm in a close group of friends and we all know each other, at least on a basic level, that more of my personality would definitely come out.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I would say this is kind of reaching for me. I mean, granted, sometimes in the professional world, we're forced to give like a presentation on things and things like that. I know for myself, I've always probably struggled with that. But as I've gotten older, I've got a little bit more accustomed to like speaking in front of a group of people. But I sure as heck don't seek it out. But then being on a television show at a restaurant I like going to, that just doesn't sit well with me. I don't know why. And you could think of like people nowadays are filming everywhere and everything, and even my kids turning into this TikTok YouTuber extraordinaire at the age of 10. So it's still hard to get used to, but me personally, I don't like being filmed. I mean, it's not a matter of obviously I pee on my friends' back walls, so it's not
Yeah.
like I'm super shy. But I will
Right.
say that my personality
Well,
does
you
come
don't do
out
this
a little bit more.
anymore. You used to when you were an adolescent.
Well, you say that now, but that's why I have that 44 ouncer, so I can go
Yeah.
spell Cool Hand, but I don't want to do it on my wall. That's the thing.
Yeah.
So,
Pick someone else's wall, somebody else's fence, somebody else's back, somebody else's slide, not the slide in your yard, maybe your neighbor's
no,
yard.
yeah, maybe that's true. Maybe that's true.
And
Because
then
I,
throw their
now,
kid down the slide.
see, and then that's the problem now, as we think as we're older, is like, who's gonna have to clean this up? Like maybe that's part of the portion when you were in Costco and that kid was taking this long stream to the extremes, and you're thinking about, the poor guy that's got to clean that up. Or when we're young, you just don't think that far.
Yeah, and I was also selfishly thinking about what if a bead of from this guy's piss lands on my shoes or hits the floor and then I step on it. I was looking out for the world, but I was also looking out for Pierce. I apologize to say there was a bit of selfishness there.
You know what? I bet you. You know what? Let me ask you this question because I think I've run into this before, and actually at Costco. So I thought it was kind of unique. And from a person who has kids, okay, you have a scenario where you're going to Costco, you got to use the restroom. Knowing Pierce, he is kind of a sheltered guy as far as like maybe his inhibitions. He probably walked into that bathroom and, like you said, immediately was like, "Oh my God, oh really?" to this kid where I would see he's the type of guy that, when you have a family bathroom, the bathroom that's meant for families to go into as one like family unit. So that way each person can use the restroom and there's no walls or no hidden partitions. The family uses the bathroom all together. Changes a diaper and the dad can use the bathroom, mom can use the bathroom type of thing. But how many times when I was a dad trying to take my kid into the restroom, the family restroom, and then I'd be waiting there, and then of course the door's locked, and you're like, man, I got to change my kid's diaper. I have to use the restroom. I prefer to use the family bathroom with my kid because it's just him and I, and have more room to get around and wipe the toilet seat down. And I won't get into everything else, but so you're waiting, and then you're expecting to see a mom with a small child come out with a stroller, and it's a grown man by himself comes out, and there's a men's bathroom completely open. I could see Pierce using this bathroom because it's by himself, and I could see where
Oh no.
he uses the public bathroom very reluctantly. I mean, he uses it because he has to, but there are
It's the
people, and
lesser of two evils. Either you
yes,
piss in your pants or you go piss in a public place with a bunch of other aberrant weirdos who don't observe the rules.
well, we could even go more into I'm sure, I'm sure he can remember going to the county fairs, the state fairs as a kid. And when we were kids, there wasn't necessarily all the partitions and fancy bathrooms with the Dyson hand blow dryers. It was literally a huge trough tub with ice in it. And as a kid, you
Oh
could,
yeah,
you'd pee on it, and you're peeing next to a grown man, and you're
yeah.
using the trough, and at first you're kind of like, wow, this is kind of weird, but then it turns into how much ice I can melt. Um,
Very competitive in the pissing department, sir. You're a true competitor.
but maybe where some of my inhibitions come from with that is because if you grow up peeing into a trough of ice at the county fair, going to Costco and seeing a kid trying to go for distance is actually pretty a plottable thing. Like, hey kid, man, that's pretty good. Me walking into that situation, I know I probably would have taken a completely different approach. I probably would have just started laughing and said, "Dude, good job. That's pretty far." And then maybe went to inside one of the stalls and just closed the bathroom door because he probably would have laughed, but he just probably still would have been embarrassed a little bit. I'm sure because if I try to put myself in his shoes.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope he was embarrassed, regardless of the choices made by the other victims in the restroom. But yeah, I know you have a good disposition, man, and you have a kid, so you're probably more seasoned in how to just make light of things. So that's good, and that's something I can learn from. I honestly don't really pick fights with little kids,
Oh, but I think you do. I think you
but
do.
if I see if I see somebody doing something the parents should have taught, look, if it's really really bad, I'll say something. But usually I'll just kind of, go about my business and pick my battles. And I will say something about those Dyson hand blower deals, whatever you want to call them. Do you understand how difficult it is to try to use those? Because you're trying to put your hands into a very narrow area, and then you're supposed to slowly bring them out as the cyclone of air pushes the water off your hands. I don't use those. I don't use those because what's going to happen is inevitably your hands are going to touch one side of the Dyson recessed area.
Oh yeah, and you with your man hands, I'm sure you would be running into bumping into the sides of it. I
Well,
can
first
almost.
of all, don't think that I didn't pick up on the sarcasm. And how dare you? Because my hands are that of a normal size, just because I have giant hands. But I do have decent, look, I wear an 11 and a half. And I don't want to show off to the listening audience. Maybe I'll post a picture of my
Uh,
shoes just to
he's not
show that
showing off, but
but
he will include a
the
picture.
idea the point is that I don't like to put my hands in those because they're going to touch some of the Dyson plastic, which I don't care what they tell me that space age material is made out of. It's not going to deter bacteria from some other freak show's hands who decided to use this
What
waste
if
of
a piece of
technology.
moisture from the Dyson hand dryer like flew up on your face? What would
Yeah,
you
where
do?
did that moisture come from? Is it from
Oh.
my hand? Is it from the last user? I mean, God knows. And that moisture, dude, once it penetrates your skin,
Oh, it's almost immediate.
you're
Can you
done.
imagine? Yeah. What would you
You're
do?
done.
Like, yeah.
Yeah. You might as well just go home. In fact, don't even finish shopping at Costco.
Yeah.
Just
I'm
go
sure.
home and take a shower. All right. Drop trowel, start running for the door, and hope to God that that moisture hasn't left you paralyzed or crippled for the rest of your life. I kid, I'm putting a little mustard on it, but the point is, I don't use those things. They're worthless. And I'll just grab a piece of paper towel like an ordinary caveman, the way the caveman
Oh my
people did,
gosh.
and dry my hands like, a civil human being. And I'm sorry. I'm sorry we're going to have more paper tissue in the trash because I'm using
Oh
a
my.
sanitary method, tried and true, to wipe off the water and wipe off the bacteria and
Uh,
wipe off the death. Okay?
oh, see,
I'm sorry.
this would introduce. That's what I'm telling you. At least the audience that the type of person that Pierce is. He says he's not a germaphobe, but can
I'm
you
not.
imagine, like, if you had a child, a small child, And sometimes the germ thing kind of goes out the window because of either pure convenience or just, let's just, what do you want to call it, laziness or just lack of energy that you want to expel on trying to sanitize something a million times when their pacifier falls on the floor. Uh,
You
you
throw
know,
that pacifier away.
no, see,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, definitely. Or you're a
You
first time
buy
parent,
another pacifier,
but you can only buy so many. Like if the kid is
right?
crying, okay, the first time it happens, oh, of course. Your first kid, the first time it happens, that thing falls on the floor. You spend another 10 minutes trying to sanitize it. Meanwhile, the kid's throwing a fit, and after 2-3 months of going through, let's just call it parental hell, it turns into, it falls on the floor. You blow it off and pick the dog hair out, and you put it back in their mouth.
Wow. You know what? And it probably makes your kids stronger,
Yes,
but
I'm sure it does.
I can't approve. I can't approve. I won't give it the Pearsonator seal of approval because that thing needs to be thrown into the trash. And there's another thing. My dad showed me how to use the restroom in a public place. He said, "Son, you don't have to touch the toilet seat." And he showed me the mechanisms. There's a piece of plastic in there, tissue, that you can use as a barrier, as a protective barrier between your anatomy and the other person anatomy who was in there. Because if you're not, you might as well just go ahead and say, "Sir, would you go ahead and drop trout and I'll take my pants down so that we can press our butt cheeks up against each other?"
Oh
Because
wow,
that's
now
what
this
you're
is
doing
going
when you
to
go
a
to the
whole
restroom
different
without.
level.
Yeah, that's why you use the protective gear that's been purposely put in the sleeve in the restroom on the walls. You use that stuff, that's there for. I've seen people go into the restroom with sandals on, and I think, my God, sir, you just don't get
See, this
it.
this brings people into your world of like
Yeah, it's a
the
world of survival.
anxiety that well, to me, I like to call it an anxiety of just a daily thing where you think about it and like, can you only imagine? Here we are, we're talking exclusively about urinals and urinating, but I imagine what happens, because it does sometimes take place when you're at the urinal, and let's just say you had a 44 ouncer from Sonic, and there is a buildup of pressure, and you go, and it gets on those beautiful, nice, all black hiking shoes that Pierce loves to wear, and it backsplashes
Oh,
on
let's
your
not share too much
shoe.
information with the listening audience. Let's be careful, dude. There's a lot of secrets. There's a lot
I
of Pierce secrets.
could you? I mean, I want the audience to picture a nice, shiny piss particle on these black shoes,
No,
and the heartbreak
doesn't
that Pierce
happen.
would feel. Like, I know him;
You
he would
buy
just
new
want to get a,
shoes.
exactly. I was just gonna say he would want to buy new shoes. And I mean, I guess the great thing for him is he can just walk into a store and easily pick out a shoe, so it's not a big deal.
Now,
But for
what Mr.
larger
Red
folks,
is commenting about is that he wears a size 15, okay? And so does Cool Hand. So if they go and try and buy shoes, it's like a 3-week affair. You have to order, you have to call companies, you have to hope that the people assembling these in another country have a whole team that are working together in unison to make sure that that one pair of size 15 gets to the United States in time before his last pair wears out, because that's the only ones they can wear. And
uh,
I sympathize with that. But
this is an
yes.
ongoing debate, and this is. Let me try to paint the picture, stroke each brush as it may, for the listening audience to hear that. Here at Pierce, let's just say he does like to shop, and picture a work environment where you walk into, and it's Monday morning, and it's always like, kind of, how's the weekend and stuff like that. And he would come in with a shiny shirt and shiny new pair of shoes, and of course want some sort of compliment on it. And of course, like us good friends that we were, we'd always try to find something to insult him about. So,
Dickheads.
as he would describe how, these new hiking shoes that he just got were fantastic, and that they have the ultimate grip, and that, he, as a friend that he is, he would want us to have, similar shoes because of
I try to
all the,
help you guys.
you know, support that it provides. And anyways, to make a long story short, he was trying to encourage us to go buy a pair. I'm sure that's in his good of heart of hearts. He was trying to make a good recommendation for some good foot support, but he fails to realize that for some people it's easy to walk into a store, grab something off the shelf, and you can wear it, no problem. Where Cool Hand and I don't have that luxury. You can't just walk into a store and let's just say we're talking about Costco. You see, oh, great shoe prices on something really nice, and unfortunately, they only go to size 12. You're lucky if they have 13. Where you're an 11 and a half, you have the world as your oyster. And
Well, you
so,
can't see it, but there's a small tear. There's a small tear welling up in my eye, and I'm trying to fight it. I had a lot to drink today, so it's hard. I'm very well hydrated, but yeah, there is a tear. I'm getting misty. I'm getting misty
so
because all the years of you're there's also benefits that come from being a giant. But I kid. I say that with love because I know we've talked about this, and I definitely you guys have opened my eyes to what it would be like to have to go and buy size 15 shoes.
and that's the whole thing. Looking back on it, you think, oh, poor Pierce. He doesn't realize the struggles of people that I guess are above average in height and maybe in width too. The struggles. And there's another story, and maybe I should let Cool Hand say it, but he isn't here today, so I'll bring it up. And we love teasing Pierce about, you know, um, Cool
Jeez.
Hand and Pierce are great fans of hairbands, and
Nice.
I like them as well. But I think
Def
they
Leppard, Guns N' Roses, AC/DC.
yeah, they take it to a whole different level, and they appreciate wearing concert shirts. And Pierce went to a concert,
Oh no.
and like any friend, oh, my good friend couldn't make it. Next best thing you could do would be to get a shirt as a souvenir of the concert. And plus, these some of these concert shirts are, because of the age of the bands, are probably getting harder to find. So when you're there, it's like, hey man, I really got to get one. Well, of course, Cool Hand's thinking about his size medium shirt that he gets. Is readily available. It's not a big deal. But when Cool Hand tells him his size of 2X, all of a sudden, a shirt that was regularly, let's say, oh, I'm going to say $25, went to $80 because they were
Wow.
charging an upcharge for the 2X. And most of the public, I mean, maybe they're regular average size, but you've been in a store where they might charge a dollar or two for a 2X or a 3X shirt. We just thought it was so odd and so weird that it went from 25 to 80 for the same concert shirt.
Let's for once point out the real story and try to get the facts correct. Now, unfortunately, Cool Hand isn't here to describe his feelings and thoughts on that, but that's what happens when you don't show up. You get,
And exactly, and he loses out, but
yeah,
this
he
is the
lost
thing.
out.
We the one part of the story that we did finish saying was that because of the significant cost increase, Pierce didn't buy the shirt because it was just too much money, and we all kid and we all laugh about it because Pierce would have probably loved to do that, but he
Yeah.
didn't. This is another Pierce thing. This is why we have him as a friend, and there's always daily laughter because you would just go, oh, you know what? It's a little expensive, but this is a once in a lifetime or once in a couple year event where this concert's taking place, and hell, these people are only this band is only getting older by the day, so I don't know how much longer they're gonna be playing. Well, this is the thing. He only had so much cash because the carnival type of people that run these stands tend to, in Pierce's mind, be in the maybe not live in the best side of town, and so he was afraid to use his credit card. And so this is another Pierceism where he is his
I think I
anxieties
need
in
to
daily life.
I might need to interject at some point. I hate to interrupt the technology that's recording Red's voice. Look, here's what happened. I went to this Guns N' Roses concert. I tried to win us tickets because I knew Cool Hand wanted to go. And we tried on a radio station periodically. We came very close. Well, another buddy hooked us up and was able to get us all tickets. And I said, Cool Hand, let's do this. Let's go, man. We're going to go. And he was psyched about it, just like he was psyched to be a part of the podcast today. But at the last moment, he said, I can't go, guys. I guess, I gotta
like
wash
today.
my hair or
Kind of like
something's
today,
happened.
I'm sure.
Yeah. But see, he's awesome, but it's just sometimes he's doesn't want to go the extra mile because it's a little bit inconvenience or a hassle or whatever. And I get it. That's fine. And plus, like Mr. Beige, he's got kids and, got a lot of going on. So he couldn't go. I was bummed. I went with some other buddies. We all went. We had a blast. Axel's voice wasn't the same, but he was still running up and down the stage. And before we went in, I think I had about $80. I said, I brought that money thinking I'm going to get a shirt. And I figured, you know what? I'll get Cool Hand a shirt too. When I got there, dude, the shirts were like 40 to $50 a piece. And I forgot about that because I've been to concerts before, but the shirt prices are ridiculous and they've gone up with inflation. Apparently, Guns N' Roses isn't making enough money on the millions of people that went to the stadium that day because now they need to sell t-shirts for $45 a pop. So with my $80, I'm stuck in a conundrum. What in the hell do I do? All right. And it was a stressful environment. There's a lot going on. I got up to the front and I said, look, I'll just buy myself a little something and I'll get him a shirt and I'll figure out whatever prices we can with this $80.
With
And
this
$80.
$80.
It's not that I have any prejudice against the roadies that are running these things. The way you described it, it makes me sound very bad. I want to bring that to everybody's
But
attention.
okay, then how come you didn't
But
use your credit card, Pierce? How come you didn't use your credit card?
I'm going to explain. The guy that was giving people shirts, he was a shady guy, dude. And
But why? Was he a roadie, or can we describe the shadiness?
Well, he was unkept. Okay, he was unkept, number one. Number two, when you size somebody up and you can tell right away, this person has stolen. This person has done some bad things. And it was his demeanor. It was his lackluster
He's selling concert
kindness.
shirts.
He didn't
He's a
smile.
traveler.
He was rude with people. I saw him arguing with somebody before I got to the front of the line about change, and everybody in front of me was using cash. And I started to put all the math together, and I went prepared for this because I remembered this from prior concerts. And I saw one fool pull out their credit card and hand it to this guy. The guy goes back. I didn't see the machine, but he comes back. He got into an argument with the guy, and eventually the guy was able to use the card, but I just didn't trust this guy. He wasn't my kind of guy. So now here I am.
Again,
with my
another
$80.
Easy purchase, another easy task in the daily life of Pierce.
There's only so many larges left, and there's only so many XLs left. I said, can I get a large and XL? And he says, we don't have any more of the XLs in the same shirt, but we have another shirt, and we have an XL and a double XL. So I said, okay, I'll take one of these. And he said, no, that one's more expensive. And I said, oh, shit. So now I'm sitting there. There's a bunch of people behind me.
And they're all waiting for these
oh,
decisions.
Snap. What do I do? Help me. And I'm like, I didn't know what to do. And I had the shirt that I wanted was, I think it was about $45. And I thought that I'd be able to get two, but even what was happening is the only size that they had left was in a slightly different shirt, and they were charging that much more for it. Plus, you had to pay extra.
It was gold plated, wasn't it, Pierce?
Plus, you had to pay extra because it was the only size, the bigger size. So that's the story. That's the facts of what happened.
That was the story.
I was there, and it disgusted me, and I got even more angry that he didn't just come to the freaking concert. I was like, he missed out on the chance of a lifetime.
Oh my
So
goodness! So let the audience know
I went
who ended up
home.
with the T-shirt. Who ended up with
Yeah.
the T-shirt?
Well, I got the large shirt, which was made for, a regular size human being. And I couldn't
Oh
get,
my
and
God!
I hate when
Imagine
I
that.
call Cool Hand, when I call him a giant because he thinks I'm making fun of his weight. It's not about his weight. He's a physically fit guy, but he's like almost 7 foot tall. And by the way, he played professional football in college. Okay. He played college football. So that gives you an idea. And Red is about the same. So these guys could play professional football. And it's not, you don't just go into a Guns N' Roses concert and say, yeah, give me the XL because they're all out. And then of course they're gonna try to charge you extra for the slightly bigger size. And they're gonna say, all we have is this fancier shirt, and that's gonna be even that much more. So whatever. That's the
They're
way,
all
that's the
black.
truth. But I do want to point out something, and I don't think I need to because I don't think I have to defend myself here.
But he will
But
anyways.
but this guy, this giant who has the emotions of a regular sized person,
Oh, that's a very good way to put it. Yeah.
I could tell it stung and I felt bad.
You probably saw a tear well up in his eye.
No, but you know what? I love the guy. And so what I thought is I scoured the internet trying to get another concert t-shirt and I couldn't find it. So I found the next best thing was a retro likeness of a concert shirt. And it put me out a few bucks, dude. I don't want to, let's not get into the dollars and cents of this, but it put me out a bit. I surprised him with it one day at lunch and it was a beautiful shirt. And
And
anyway,
did it?
I wanted to make it
Did
right.
you take the Walmart tag off of it first?
No way, dude. I didn't buy this at Walmart. No offense against Walmart, but it wasn't a Walmart shirt.
You know,
But
I
anyway,
think you might have because I think it actually had the Walmart tag on it.
negative, sir. Negative. But, anyway, I think we've really tackled some important issues today. We've tackled Brodum, the challenges involved in good Brodum, some things that sometimes you have to do in social situations when they go sideways, especially in Costco.
This is just a daily occurrence. I think the audience might be catching on that.
Well, the
I like
audience
to
is
call them Piercisms.
hopefully the audience is learning about ways which they can live a more pristine lifestyle to protect themselves from the evils forces of all that wishes to destroy us. I've had COVID. I think that vaccines, COVID, all that stuff, we're going to get through this. And yes, some germs are good for you. I really don't consider myself a germaphobe, but I do consider myself a prudent-ophobe.
Approved?
And I use prudent. I use prudence when I live my life.
Yes,
I
he
don't
sure
look
does.
for urine to saturate my shoes and my bod. I look for things that will protect my bod and keep me in that pristine youthful state which I strive for. I'm not going to go get things done to my face, but I am going to keep the ego powers and the nutrients flowing. Anyway. My friend, I really appreciate you hopping on today. I think we've done a lot of good today. I think we've put out a lot of fires.
Hey, it's just a daily struggle in the life of Pierce, and I am happy to support and entertain people on the Piercisms that happen on a daily basis.
Well, we thank you for your place in society, sir, and your contributions to being a friend of Pierce and a friend of Hose. You are true one of the OG Hose, and we're going to try to get Cool Hand on here at some point to defend himself if he can ever muster the courage. We missed him today.
And Mr. Beige as well.
And Mr. Beige, yes, sir. And we'll be bringing cameos. We'll have other friends pop in and out. But it's been real, man. You take care of yourself. Make sure the Red family give him my best.
Same to you, buddy.
All right, brother.
All
right, that's it. Show's over. Thanks for being here. Appreciate you tuning in. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and all that. Follow us on Facebook and subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss updates. Yeah, this is commercial free. We hook it up with our own funds, and we hope you like it. If you did, give us a rating. If you didn't, stay away from the rating because then that's going to hurt us, and that will sting. We just appreciate you giving us a try. Take care. Be kind.